Endgame Gear's OP1 mouse was already a great choice, but the addition of a faster microcontroller means all the great tech they've already developed for the OP1 remains, but a new 8000 Hz polling rate is added. This mouse really impressed me, so let me show you around it and then explain why. Endgame Gear is no stranger to making great mice, the XM1 being possibly their most famous. The OP1 itself is a pretty versatile mouse. It's primarily meant for claw grips, thanks to the fairly tall sides allowing your fingers plenty of space to grip onto, although I did find it comfortable with a more palm grip style too. Interestingly, Endgame does include some stick-on textured rubber pads for the sides, so if you don't find the fairly matte coating sufficient enough, you can stick them on too. Personally, I left them off, especially since this thing only weighs 50 grams, making it incredibly light and easy to flick around and to hold on to as well. And actually, speaking of extras included in the box, Endgame also provides a second set of PTFE skates with a different design. That being way more coverage, including an extra skate to sit around the sensor, and a much wider front and rear skate too, although even the larger one at the back has holes for the two screws that hold the mouse together, which is a really nice touch. Personally, I had a great time with the stock, smaller skates, but it's nice that you have the option straight out of the box. I do want to mention the ease of which they let you get into this thing. The holes in the larger skates are a great indication of that. You only need to remove those two screws, and then the top case just sort of hinges off from the front. You pop 3 jumper cables out, and you've got access to everything. The switches themselves, at least the left and right clicks and the 2 side buttons, which are actually very nice feeling, very well reinforced, very sturdy, are all sort of just screwed into the top case, meaning you can remove them, and in a frankly amazing move, Endgame will sell you replacement switch packs, both as a way to customize the feel for what you prefer, and just as a repairability factor. Although with the KO GX switches that they are using and helped co-create, they're rated for 80 million actuations, so you shouldn't need to replace them if you don't want to. The switches are actually a good thing to talk about too. Most, if not all, 8000 Hz mice that I've seen use optical switches, as one of the main benefits of using 8000 Hz polling rate is the lower latency afforded by polling every 0.125 milliseconds rather than once per millisecond. Using optical switches means there's no debounce delay, and therefore the fastest possible input. The fact that Endgame are using mechanical switches here rings some alarm bells, but they have a few interesting solutions for that. First, as you can see through the rather nice translucent switch casings, these are SPDT switches. That's single pole double throw switches. That means that when the switch is first pressed, the moving element inside the switch, the pole, breaks the connection to trigger a signal. Breaking the connection has functionally no bouncing involved because it's just moving away. Then when the switch is released, it then leaves the other contact point in the switch to trigger the release event. That means that the switch is never bouncing in the first place, or at least for the signal purposes itself. The second is Endgame's patented analog key sensing technology, where instead of using a digital pin on the microcontroller, they're using an analog input and read in those inputs potentially every microsecond or so. That means that you get a more full view of the bouncing behavior, and it can even be averaged out to give you a more cohesive input. Now naturally, I cracked out my open source latency testing tool and tested the 3 different click modes that Endgame offers here. Those are off, GX speed mode, and GX safe mode. Off is on the lower side for an 8000 Hz mouse at 1.1 milliseconds on average. By comparison, the GX modes are actual light speed. Safe mode was technically slightly sort of slower at a shocking 0.07 milliseconds on average versus just 0.02 milliseconds on the speed mode. I should explain why these results are faster than the theoretical best performance of an 8000 Hz mouse, and that's because the way that I'm doing this test is an external test that uses the sound of the click happening to register that click happen, and then time between when it hears the sound and when the desktop software receives the mouse down event. Because this mouse is so damn fast, it's actually, at least effectively, reading 0 for most results, because the click event is reaching the desktop app before the sound of you bottoming out the actual button has been made. Like, to make that clear, this mouse can tell your PC you've clicked it faster than you can bottom out the mouse button. Isn't that insane? When you then put that together with the great shape and feel, you get an incredibly appealing gaming experience. It's ridiculously smooth and responsive, feeling better than the majority of mice that I've tested here. From the second that I picked it up and started playing, it felt like a cut above the rest. Accuracy was on point, and the insanely light weight made it easy to flick around on a low DPI too. If it isn't clear, I've really enjoyed playing with this. While I'm no FPS pro, for an average Joe like me, it felt like I was playing with a pro's gear. Now there is one thing that I do just want to note, just add in, and that's the software. To be clear, the software offers all of the features you would expect, from DPI control to button remapping, and of course those button or left click, right click modes. But Endgame, what the fresh hell is this? This Windows 95 app in 2024. Like, the overly simple design does actually make it incredibly easy to use. But it could do with just like the slightest bit of tarting up. Like, honestly, if you send me the source code to that, I will do it for you. Just a lick of paint, so it doesn't look like it's actually from 1995. But regardless of the software, this is an incredible bit of kit, and one that I obviously highly recommend. It's pretty reasonably priced for what you get at around £70, so this is a big thumbs up from me. I'll link to overclockers in the description if you're interested, and of course I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Like I said, I'm no pro, but you might be, and so I'd love to hear what you think about it in the comments down below. Otherwise, if you want to see more videos like this one, you can hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell notification icon, and check out plenty of other videos on the end cards as well. There is also plenty of other links in the description if you're interested, including if you want to be able to test stuff like this yourself with my open source latency testing tool that I make right here at home in the UK, and that is at osrtt.com, linked in the description. But otherwise, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you on the next video.